Good morning and happy Wednesday. I'm Roth Cornett, and this is SJU, and I am joined by a team of brilliant handgunning men this morning. Spencer Gilbert.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Well to quite well. Thank you, Roth.
Well to quite well. I like that there was a range. Joe Starr.
I'm gonna say pretty good to well.
Very well.
I'm well to good.
All right.
Hey.
I am excellent.
Yeah.
Guess what, guys?
I heard.
You did? So yesterday at about 3:30 in the afternoon, I know because I was upset later that I had missed the news, a Joker origin story was revealed. Deadline broke the news that DC and Warner Brothers are looking to do a spin-off Joker movie.
You cucks. So I figured I'd just start it off early.
Well, let's dive right in, Spencer.
Pretty much.
And this is like one of those things that you have to read it 3 or 4 times because you're very confused and think maybe this isn't real. This is not clickbait. I'm sure you guys have read the reports by now. But okay, this is coming from The Hangover's Todd Phillips, who will co-write with 8 Mile scribe Scott Silver. Phillips is also maybe going to direct the movie. And Martin Scorsese is going to produce it. Hang on. There's actually more.
Okay.
This is divorced from the current DC extended universe. This is a different Joker. It will not be Jared Leto's Joker, who will appear in Suicide Squad 2. And this is what they're looking. The intention is to make a gritty and grounded, hard-boiled crime film set in the 80s, Gotham City, meant to feel like a DC movie as much as one of Scorsese's films from that time era. And listen, Taxi Driver, Raging Bull. Now, hang on, before we fully dive in, I just want to say I think the idea of a comic book movie that is akin to Taxi Driver sounds amazing, but Todd Phillips is not the guy that would deliver that.
No.
All right, let's dive in.
Joker origin story. Those two things are completely antithetical to each other. He is the flip side of Batman in every single way. The fact is about Batman, all everyone knows about him is his origin story. The Joker needs to be mysterious. Yeah. He needs to have arisen out of the Batman and not the other way around. And we were just talking about how demystifying something or learning about how something came to be never makes it cooler.
With that in mind, Spencer, what did you eat for breakfast this morning?
Don't demystify.
Don't demystify me any further. I drink regular coffee.
I could do everything in the world. I would never demystify you. Joe, what do you think?
Well, I mean, even in the comics, any origins they've ever really put out with the Joker have a big asterisk on them. Sure. Is he telling the truth? Is it total BS? Was this story fake? And they played on that in The Dark Knight, where he had so many different stories for his scars. And I don't need a Joker origin story. I like I sort of like the idea that DC's just like, not all of these will be this DCEU thing, and that gives us a way to tell Elseworld stories. We can do our Red Suns. We can do weird standalone things without worrying how they tie in. I kind of like that idea. And I definitely like the idea of a non-Jared Leto Joker movie. But I don't know. This is just weird.
So it's interesting because, I said the same thing. I said a Joker origin movie is completely antithetical to that character because even if you take The Killing Joke, which is maybe the most popular and people take that as the origin in some ways, he says, if I'm going to have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice. This is a character that turns out to be a very unreliable narrator. So Dan, I mean, how do you make a definitive origin story out of that?
I think a lot of people would be kind of surprised by my reaction to this. I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. It would be hypocritical of me to rant and rave against this thing because I've been saying for like a couple of years now that I think the future of comic book movies is in telling one-off stories that are not connected to a larger overall continuity. So, I think it's weird from a timing standpoint and that they have a Joker that's recurring in the DCEU and then to make a separate one that's not that one, that's strange to me. That for me, I'm just like, that just seems like a weird corporate move right now. But I mean, so we talk about Martin, like these, what if these great directors did a comic book movie? Well, and here's Martin Scorsese producing a comic movie about a character who is one of the most iconic characters in comic books and also all of these comic book people are like, the Joker doesn't need an origin story, are the same people that are stroking it off, half of them, to the Killing Joke, which is a Joker origin story. There's so much yelling about this, and I think that to me this is different from the Han Solo thing, because like all of these spin-off Star Wars movies that I hate is because there is a locked continuity that you are now trying to jam. You're trying to jam pieces into a puzzle that's already done, and I think that things like this are where comic book movies should be going.
Dan. I hear you in theory, but let's get down to specifics.
Sure.
The movie opens. It's 1980s New York. Some type of thug is doing thug things on the street, and he gets not that soundtrack. All right, he's dancing down the street, and he wanders into a comedy club, and he's like, "I'm gonna tell some jokes," and then he wanders into a makeup shop, and he goes, "I'm gonna do my face paint like this," and then he wanders into like a purple suit store. None of this is going to make the Joker any better.
You're projecting your idea of what this movie is going to be onto the actuality of this movie.
How could you tell a Joker origin story without explaining the things that make him the Joker?
We'll find out. Maybe they'll go in a different direction. Maybe they'll go in a more psychologically complex direction. Again, I think everybody's jumping to step 80 on this, and I know that I do this a lot with other projects because I just don't see a way, like the Han Solo movie, I don't see a way that that's going to be good without completely violating so many things that we know about Han Solo. And again, you're trying to jam unnecessary pieces into a story that doesn't need it. And I think that this could be a way. Look, we got Jared Leto Joker and he sucked. He was awful. Almost nobody liked him. I think this could be a way to maybe, like, instead of like saying like, hey, here's a character and we're going to do it a certain way, and if it sucks or if people don't like it, well, guess what? You're stuck with it. Now this is a chance to say like, hey, maybe these guys have a take on this that is exciting people.
I'm hoping that when they say origin movie, they just mean earlier movie. Like, that's kind of what I'm hoping. Just give me a cool standalone Joker movie. I don't necessarily need origin. And I'm hoping that they're just like, they just mean origin. It just meant it happened a while ago. Because I don't necessarily need origin, but a standalone crime Joker movie sounds cool to me.
But how can you have an origin story of a character who's all based around them being the mirror image of Batman without Batman in it? Is he just gonna like? I mean, I don't understand how he becomes the Joker without that.
I mean, Gotham, I guess, the show Gotham.
Terrible idea. Yeah. So.
The other interesting thing.
But maybe
to me,
that's not the Joker. But that's saying like that is the origin of the Joker. It's like what there's a possibility that that's what I like about a one-off movie. It's a one-off. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that he springs out of Batman. It means that this could be a one-shot take at this character that doesn't connect to all of the mythology that you have to connect to when you're doing a continuing series of films.
It also
I'm not saying it's going to be great. I'm saying, like, what if they actually genuinely came up with a compelling take on this character that they said this could make an interesting solo movie, solo story?
Hang on, let's look at what the fans had to say. So The Hollywood Reporter put together some of the initial fan reactions. Let's take a look at that.
This is my favorite kind of journalism, when actual journalistic people just go to Twitter and take
we found
tweets.
4 tweets.
Here's my story. I pulled 10 tweets. Money, please.
Is that the WB asked Phillips if he'd been interested in DC movie, and this is what he pitched. They said, sure, try it.
Hot
Hashtag
take.
Joker. Hot take. When they say they're making a Joker movie.
Hotter take.
See, look at that. No likes, 1 response. Good. Like Hollywood Reporter is like, this is what the fans are saying. Like, this is what one dude said that has 3 followers.
But here's the point with this. Hang on. So the idea here is that we have seen this happen again. To support your point, Dan, we've seen happen again and again. That particularly with, we can come off this now, JT. I love you so much. I love you so much, JT. Come out here and take a bow. I love you. Okay.
Don't.
I feel like he just threatened us.
I feel like he did, but I truly do. JT, if you guys have never seen him on anything else, is actually a really sweet, fun, funny guy. But we've seen this happen. He's also the Joker.
What does the J stand for?
The weird thing is that he's the Joker.
I know,
we've seen this happen again and again and again. People rail against the initial casting of Michael Keaton, of Heath Ledger, even Christian Bale. So, and then it's like, what is the movie doing? I will say, I am also, like you, excited to see Scorsese involved, right? Because the idea of really getting into New York in the 80s, which was a true shit show, not New York, Gotham, which was like New York, like a true crime story shit show, and harken back to something like A Taxi Driver and really make a gritty, and that word is so overused, comic book story about the most terrifying villain potentially that's ever been created in comics is exciting. I'm curious about the team because Todd Phillips is a comedy writer and director. I mean, straight comedy.
Hangover 3, I don't know.
Yeah, Hangover 2 and 3, I don't know.
Talking about this Todd Phillips thing, it's like, Todd Phillips sucks. Todd Phillips is the worst.
Nobody
like Todd
said
Phillips.
that.
No, I have seen so many people talking shit about Todd Phillips. It's like, yes, Todd Phillips made some bad movies. Todd Phillips also made a lot of good movies. It's like people are selectively deciding which kind of director Todd Phillips is.
It's a weird choice, Dan. It's weird.
So is Adam McKay doing a story about the financial crisis, and guess what? That was nominated for Best Picture.
But it was a really weird
it was a really good movie.
I love you guys for your hope. There is a non-zero chance that this is a good movie, but it's damn close to zero when you add up everything working against it.
Because it was announced?
You're picking things like, when people announced Christian Bale, people were doubtful, and then it turned out to be great. There's so many other times when people announced Halle Berry as Catwoman, it turned out to suck. They announced George Clooney as Batman, it turned out to suck. Joel Schumacher, it turned out to suck. Like, we can make an educated guess based on what we know that this will suck.
I refuse to make such a guess.
At this point, I'm more
not like Jabba the Hutt, where you're just like wringing story that's not there out of some tired character that is a third-rate mythological character. This is an iconic character that's never had a movie, arguably, that is his, is always sharing the spotlight with Batman. I think this is an interesting opportunity. I'm not going to say it's great. This is an interesting opportunity if they have a take to maybe give us something different on that character.
It's a little weird to have the two Jokers existing at the same time on screen.
That's strange. I agree with you on that.
That is almost smart because we've heard so much talk about the Flash movie being this Flashpoint thing, and I think they're trying to give themselves some options. I think you might see a young Bruce Wayne or something in one of these movies that's played by somebody else, and they're just giving you some options. The comics have played with the idea that there's like 3 or 4 different Jokers because of the number of times DC's rebooted their comics, and that might be something they're messing with here. I am more frustrated that this creative team is not on Sony's Aunt May movie. I think much better fit for Todd Phillips and Martin Scorsese.
Mayday.
I mean,
Mayday. That's the movie.
It may be one of those things that we eventually see this was a brilliant team up because they I'm going to give a weird example, but did you guys like Freaks and Geeks?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was Paul Feig and oh my God, Judd Apatow. What is wrong with my brain? Paul Feig and Judd Apatow. And I love Freaks and Geeks, and I feel like it's the perfect combination of those two voices, where Judd Apatow is far more cynical. Paul Feig has a ton of heart, and I feel like it created this beautiful world together. We could find out Spencer is not buying any of this, by the way. You should see his face; is becoming more and more cynical every second. But we could find out
it's good to be not the most cynical person on the show for once.
This combination might yield something really interesting. It might not. It might be something that's no good, but at least it'll be weird.
Again,
Spencer.
for me, it's not so much.
At least it'll be different.
It's not so much the creative team; it's the premise
of the origin.
Look, I think you could throw some of the most talented people at the world at it. It's just like making a Superman movie about only his journalism, which Batman v Superman almost was, but it's like not the interesting or even the part that anybody wants to know about the character.
That's fair.
Although I would watch these creative meetings between this trio, just to see Todd Phillips ask Martin Scorsese how many times the Joker can call someone a gay wad. Like, that'll be... I really want to see that.
Yeah.
I really kind of want you two to act out what those creative meetings are like.
That might be my Flickbait segment.
Yeah. Again, I would say that all of those same aspersions were cast on The Big Short. And Adam McKay's like, oh, what's Ron Burgundy going to show up? And it's like the guy...
It would have been cool if he did.
Took a challenge.
Yeah, I know.
The guy took a challenge on that nobody thought he could do, and I think made a great movie, certainly a critically acclaimed movie and an Oscar-nominated movie, and he himself was nominated
Yes,
for an
you
Oscar
picked one of the most unlikely successes of all time to show that this might work.
You literally just named this movie one of the most unlikely successes of all time. So yes, that's exactly why I
like it when weird movie fights
that's a movie that nobody
up.
said would work, and it did.
Which is the exception to pretty much every rule. Movies that don't sound like they work on paper are unlikely to work in real life.
Just saying, it's happened before, and I'm not going to dismiss this out of hand completely like I have other things.
I've dismissed it. It's already been dismissed.
Let's look at the chat. So from the chat, we're getting Sebastian says, I'm good with the standalone, but Joker is just wrong character to make a solo movie out of. Claudia says, the best part of the Joker is the mystery. Jay says, I would only watch this if Nolan did it.
Shocking.
These other people do not care about the character.
I'm sorry. Some people say that about every single movie. I would only watch this movie if Christopher Nolan did it.
That's the only reason I'd watch Stranger Things season 2.
Pitch Perfect 3.
I'd only watch if Nolan did it.
Pitch Perfect.
I think that what this does speak to is a larger question at the studio, right? Because are they...
It's the spreadsheet, right, Joe?
Yeah, right?
They have the spreadsheet that says movies with the Joker make this much money and movies with other people make this much money.
Scorsese's made this much. Todd Phillips made this much.
Yeah, exactly. So just to give a little context to that, the idea is that basically Warner Brothers is looking at a spreadsheet to make these films, and they are allocating how much money a movie with the Joker will make, how much money...
And they all do this, to be fair.
And every studio does this, right? And they know that the Joker is a very profitable character, and so maybe that's why they want to focus here versus like, we're not getting a Two-Face origin story, which would be cool, frankly.
I like the idea of a Joker movie that after you walk out of it, you go, I don't know if any of that's true or not. You just lean on the unreliable narrative, do a weird Joker Rashomon, and...
Yeah, do 4 or 5 different Joker origin stories, and then
Within
you
the film.
Snapchat your vote for which one is the real one. Hashtag joke's on you.
But you know what? Frankly,
You should not work here. Like,
it's different.
You know a filmmaker who's really good at shepherding projects that might have first-person unreliable narration? Martin Scorsese. Just saying.
Just saying. All right, hashtag.
I don't know.
Just
Maybe
saying it might be good.
I at the first blush, this to me was also like what? But then like I just thought more about it. I don't know. Maybe I just woke up in a better mood today. But it just seemed like there are avenues here to go down, and I'm not ready to just completely just this immediately because there actually seems to be room to do something here, whereas I don't see that opportunity in a lot of other projects.
Well, I like how the worm is turned around here, and it just makes me realize that I'm definitely living in a dream. And welcome to my hellscape. Anne says, "Give the Joker a break. How many actors have to play this character?" The last thing that I will say about
All of the actors.
is I feel bad for whichever actor does take this on. Because,
Really? I mean,
There's no
Leto.
better time to be the Joker. You're not following up anything.
But everything that could have been done has been done. The only reason that there's a level of freedom is that you have to assume that the majority of the film will be happening before he's the Joker, right?
Yeah, so they're gonna have some like 1980s like Scorsese, Italian American street tough. Like, you think I'm funny? Yeah, come here.
What, I'm funny to you?
Yeah.
You're laughing at me. I'm
And then
funny
Bradley
to you.
Cooper walks in and goes, gay wad. It's going to be great. No, give me...
It's funny. Oh, you think it's funny. It's Pesci. Pesci is the Joker.
Yeah.
I like when you're talking about what actors should do it.
Joe Pesci.
D.H. Joe Pesci is the Joker.
When you're
Make it happen,
When you're talking about
universe.
what actors should do it, I think you smash that question onto 4 different Joker stories in one movie and go full Dr. Parnassus and just have a different actor play the Joker in every
single
one.
Oddly enough, other things have happened in the last 2 days
What?
in the world
No.
of entertainment. Yes, I know we're all surprised.
Name one.
Yeah.
Do you, my friend sent me this like weird relationship conversation guide the other day. It was like the most stiff way to have a conversation. But one of the things was at the end of everything, you go, "Is there more on that?" So let me ask you all: do you feel complete? Is there more on that on the Joker? Do you have more?
I've reached completion.
Yeah, I've completed.
Yeah. Have you guys completed? Let us know in the comments.
Let us know in the comments if you're complete. Our producer Billy just pointed to the comments, and it says Todd Phillips did War Dog, so I'll give him a chance. Very well.
So Matt Reeves just said that the Batman is not part of the DCEU and will be a standalone
Breaking news.
news.
Whoa, Ross, can you look this up while we're the Batman?
The Batman.
Billy Business is telling
Hang
us.
on. The Batman.
Billy Business reporting.
Will be outside the DCEU.
Yeah, it said the Batman will also take place outside the DCEU.
What is the DCEU anymore?
And do you know what this means?
Taking the E out of the EU.
Where is the
The
source
contracted universe.
Yeah.
Billy, Slack me the.
We're breaking news.
It's all in your Slack. Look at
Okay.
This is the Slack
there's
isn't
no
updating.
link.
It's not there.
It's not there. So he's gonna
It's the
send
first time
me.
we've ever gotten to break news live on the air. This is fun.
Breaking
Business. He's handing me the business. All right, ready? This is coming from KCRW.
Yeah, NPR.
We just got fancy.
KCRW? Did NPR just break its biggest news story ever?
And this is in all caps. I'm going to read you
Is it
exactly
the dude
what
from
Billy.
Air Talk reporting it?
I'm going to read you.
Hi, I'm Lakshmi Singh,
I'm gonna
reporting
read-
live on the DCEU.
Lakshmi Singh is not on KCRW.
Okay, I'm.
Oh no, she is. Yeah.
I'm Carl
She is.
Castle.
Yeah, Lakshmi Singh is on KCRW.
I'm Ira
Um,
Glass.
bring
The
up
Batman is
you,
no longer part of the DCEU. Submit your $10 for a free tote bag.
Is there more on that?
I'm done.
Do you have more on that?
No, I'm good.
Joe, are you good?
But first,
Dan, do you have more on
Before
that?
we get to this breaking news, I'd like to
I'm
talk
gonna break
about some
the
exciting
news.
events.
Delicious
but
All
first,
right.
let's go over the numbers.
This is total chaos.
Okay. What did he say?
In all caps, Billy wrote
In
me.
all caps.
Ron, look here. New news just broke. Matt Reeves says the Batman will be not part of the DCEU. Here's the quote. Well, I have a vision for a way to do something that the character Batman that feels like it resonates with me personally and a perspective that can grow out into other things. When the WB approached me, what they said, what is this words? It's a standalone. What they said was, look, it's a standalone. It's not part of the extended universe. This is coming from an interview on KCRW on Hollywood News Banter. So, guys, this is actually massive news because what this means is that...
We'll see. Well, the 30 minutes from now, he's going to backtrack on this and say that it was
I'm
a really
curious,
good story. Yeah, he's going to Casey Affleck this thing. Did I just break news?
Did I not know that? I'm kidding.
Who is not playing the Joker?
Who is what?
Who is not playing the Joker in the standalone Joker movie?
Gwendolyn Christie?
Okay.
Yeah.
Jared Leto. Jared
I
Leto.
thought you were giving us options.
What's happening right now?
Jared
So
Leto.
confused.
Hang on, please. I swear to God, I'm begging you. Jared Leto is not playing the Joker in the standalone Joker movie because it is separate from the DCEU.
Yep.
If the Batman movie is separate from the DCEU, then Ben Affleck, who has been reportedly in and out of this thing, does not have to play that Batman because that will be a Batman movie that exists separately. So that may be a
that's his out.
reason. That is his out.
So it's not connected. So we have a different Batman.
So now
Potentially.
they're saying that that's a prior interview and may not actually be the case.
Thanks, Billy. Someone underline everything that we just said.
That didn't take long at all.
That's
Everyone is breaking this news story, but just like the Affleck...
Come on out.
yeah. Come on, no, Billy.
Just
Come
come
on.
on
You
out.
put your face on this news. Put your face on. We put our face on it.
Sure, I'll put my face on it. So all the different news sites are reporting this interview that came out that Matt Reeves said it's not part of the extended universe. But this interview, just like the Casey Affleck thing, there's conflicting reports now that was before that he came out and said that he was going to do Batman. We don't really know anymore, but the story, for whatever reason, is now breaking again. We're trying to find out if there's anything more added to it. That was the original quote, but I wanted to at least get you guys that as it's breaking.
Okay.
This has been like watching a
Well, it's because his
disaster
quote
unfold in real
he said
time.
that he can keep. It's a standalone movie that could grow into other things. Reading between the lines, it seems like Ben Affleck is waffling, right? They're like trying to back up the Brinks truck full of money, another one to Ben Affleck to keep him on. But if not, he has his own Batman and he can do sequels and spin-offs for his Batman, whoever he decides to.
Now that I'm thinking about it, this could be popping back up again now that yesterday it was confirmed that they're trying to come up with a new banner for standalone, DC movies, like you guys have been talking about, that this could possibly have been the first kind of kernel of what that could look like, that the Batman could have been what will be this new brand of standalone movies. If we find anything more, but it looks like everybody's running with this story.
including us.
We ran with it.
Well, yeah.
Well, it's happening live. Billy's doing a great job because he brought this to us live. This was a breaking story. It's huge in the world of what we do.
It wasn't
updating. It was not.
I will say the chat
it wasn't updating. It wasn't in there.
We don't have internet on our
Billy,
internet
come
show.
look. It was not in there at all. It's still not. It's still not there.
That would be my guess, is that this has to do with the banner now coming out of standalone films, that this is possibly, at least that was the original plan. I don't think that he would have made that statement originally if those plans weren't already in the works. That might be why the story's kind of resurfacing now.
Okay, so here's something interesting to think about with this. They have already, unlike Marvel, their television shows are not connected to their movies. So they're already disconnected. They have multiple characters, multiple actors playing the same character. We know, of course, Grant Gustin and Ezra Miller both play the Flash. So for them to actually start to say, you know what, the whole idea, and this is really just me guessing, the whole idea of an extended universe is really cumbersome, and it's limiting in terms of the kind of stories that we can tell. Well, no. It actually has limits, right? So if we want to do something that truly is different than what Marvel is doing, maybe we just tell individual stories that are really strong on their own. And frankly, maybe that's great. I love what Marvel is doing, and I think we all want, but despite the weirdness that sometimes happens online about Marvel and DC, the truth is, negative 0% of the population has skin in either game as a viewer. You just want to go see a good movie. All of us just want to go see a good movie. So if that's what we're going to get.
If I stop yelling that Marvel sucks at anyone who will listen to me, Jeff Johns is not going to come to my house and pretend to be my dad?
No, he will be your dad. He is your dad, Joe.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I mean, in a way, isn't this kind of a cool thing that we might just get really great solo movies? Or at least interesting ones?
Sure, it's just such a radical departure from what they've been trying to do to this point that it seems, just in this context, it seems like they're throwing their hands up and being like, we don't know what we're doing. Sure, we'll just, we can have 10 different Batmans running around, which they might all be great. But given if the past is prologue, this just seems like it's unorganized, not like this was their plan all along.
No, I don't think it was their plan all along. And I feel like at a certain point it'd be interesting to have, I don't think he'll do this, but Jeff Johns come out and be like, yeah, there was a long period of time where we creatively couldn't figure it out. Jeff Johns, to be fair, he's only come on so recently in a position to be really driving the bus. Like it has not been that long. He doesn't, all of the films that came before and even Justice League really aren't under him exclusively. Yes, he was a part of the process, absolutely, creatively.
So now the rap is also running the story. Like it's gaining traction, so it could be just something that slipped through the radar before.
Billy's letting us know, just because they can't hear you, Billy's letting us know that the rap is running the story now, so it looks like there is some validity to it. They're doing follow-ups and there's additional reporting happening as we are live right now. So it looks like there may be some validity to this. So the question is, I feel like this could be Jeff Johns going in and actually creatively driving forward now and saying, this is what I think that we should do. I think we should not try to create do what Marvel did. I think we should truly try and do our own thing and tell individual stories.
It's a little late.
Well, you can't undo what's come before, but you certainly can course correct moving forward.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I'm curious to read a lot of this, what's happening now, to really get to the bottom of this, because if this is true, like this is a sea change.
Sure, and do we still get the Justice? I mean, we still are getting the Justice League, but do those characters exist completely separately in sort of Justice League movies? We're definitely getting more Wonder Woman,
and they've leaned in before with when Batman v Superman and stuff were still casting. A lot of people were saying, hey, what about the CW shows? Are those people going to play, the Flash and Arrow? And their response was a big wink and a nod on DC's a multiverse, and this exists, and the movies exist, and we're not opposed to shaking up the bag and seeing what happens later on. So, I mean, DC's big strength and big weakness, I think, is that they have a really super confusing continuity in comics and tons of parallel universes and stories to tell, whereas Marvel kind of tries to keep everything a little more focused. So there's a lot to play with.
Yeah, we're gonna get Action Comics Batman, regular Batman, Batman Beyond, Dark Knight Batman.
This is how you can get your standalone New Frontier
how do you
movie
feel
set
about that?
set in the 50s.
I'll watch the good ones, but there will be duds too, just like
Sure,
comics.
but just like any movie.
Yeah.
It's like really, I mean, it's not like we have all comedies every year are amazing. It's a genre. It's
But
an
when your
entire
budget
genre.
is $300 million, you can't afford to screw up.
You can't, but
True.
yet sometimes that
Yet.
happens.
Yes,
you know?
it happens often.
Not just with comic book movies, but any tentpole movie. There's certainly been wins and losses over this past year, right? There's been several that have been not very good at all.
Yeah, it's just easier to make 4 different Batman comics than it is
Than 4 different Batman
movies.
movies. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. It's just, all of this is speculation. We don't really know what direction they're going, but if they are sort of starting to make films that are divorced from the larger DCEU, it opens up creative possibilities that could be interesting, and you're still going to get Justice League. Flashpoint is coming in. It's presumptively.
Yeah.
I think, as of right now. Billy, any breaking news on
Anything else?
Flash?
Other sites are picking it up. My guess is that this interview was.
You got to
This
come
is
out.
off-screen
Come speak
talking
into
here
the
on Screen
mic.
Junkies News.
My guess is because this interview was originally for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, that it either.
That was in 2014, right?
Or sorry, what was
War?
the new-
War, when they came out this
War.
year? Okay.
Apes, that this tidbit just got kind of pushed through, or just kind of buried
Well, also,
a
it's
little bit.
KCRW, and they're like, they didn't notice that they had a massive scoop, is what
That's
my
true.
guess.
Right, there's a good chance that, I'm not sure when exactly this podcast went up. I do know that the interview might have been from about right before Comic-Con. But like I said, everyone's running with it now. And with the announcement yesterday of this Joker thing, I wouldn't doubt if there is, a good kernel of truth to it.
Why don't we run it down? Let's run it down. Maybe we can come back later and
Yeah, well, if we
to
get
the
any
bottom
more
of
breaking
this.
news, we can talk about it tomorrow on SJU and see if we have any follow-up.
All right, guys.
That's the business.
That is Billy the Business, who is killing it. And UJTE, thank you guys for doing an amazing job today. As always, Ryan, the new Parker, we like him too. He's the
Great
guy.
job, new Parker.
I just call him New Parker. I haven't started calling him by name yet.
He hasn't earned a name yet, but he's getting there very quickly, and we like him a lot. You guys, thank you for joining us today.
As always.
It was an unwieldy one today. I'm going to self-assess. I feel like today's was up and down. Our episode today was a little weird. There was
I think
a
this is
lot
best left off the air.
No, it's happening on there. All your stuff comes out on there. Mine's coming out too. I feel like it was a little weird. You were great as always. You were great as always. You were great as always. I felt like I couldn't manage the chaos every moment.
It's the first time we
but
had
I'm doing
breaking
my
news
best.
live on the
Yeah.
show. First time.
But I'm really doing my best,
fun.
guys.
I feel like we
Yeah,
broke a
you were
flick bait live on the air. Batman may or may not be a standalone movie. News at 11. Yeah.
You know who the best is? You guys. You guys are great. Screen Junkies fans are truly some of the sweetest people online. So please do continue to be. No, you are not halfway. All the way there. Continue to be excellent to each other. We will update the story as Billy yells it at me.
Bye-bye.